It is a cold, snowy day in Michigan. Let's block some knits. I have my tub here because I'm going to be blocking a sweater, a shawl, and a pair of socks. And I want to do it all at once because I don't think the colors are going to bleed that much, or I'm not that concerned about it. So let's get started. I'm going to fill this up most of the way with some like lukewarm water. I don't want it to be super hot and I don't want it to be cold. It will cool off, but I don't want it to be hot because I don't want to risk felting my wool. I like to use this soak wool wash. You can also use Castile soap, but this is a no rinse wool wash designed for blocking and washing knits. Here is a little before of the sweater. All right, and everything is just going to go into this bucket once it is filled up with water. So I'm going to throw the socks in there, throw the shawl on top. I don't really wring them. I just kind of gently push them into the water so that they absorb everything. And then the sweater is going to go in last. Same thing, just kind of pushing it down into the water, making sure all of the fibers get wet. And then I did not record this part, but you're going to set a timer for whatever your wool wash says. In this case, it was 15 minutes. After 15 minutes, I came back and I set up a couple of towels. And this is the part you don't want to like mess with it too much at this point because those fibers are really loose and you can stretch out your wools super easily at this stage. So I'm just kind of gently squeezing all of the water out, kind of going from one side to the other, just gently squeezing. You don't want to agitate it too much at this point, and just get all of that water out. And like I said, this is a no rinse wool wash. And then once you get all the water out, I have a towel here and I'm just going to kind of roll it up in the towel so that you're getting as much water out at this stage as you can. So I'm just going to kind of lay it out somewhat flat in here and then fold the towel up so it can soak up as much excess water as possible. Again, patting it down just to get everything out. And then this is going to get set aside for a moment while we get the next item out, which I think we're going to get the shawl out next. And then same thing, we're just wringing it out, getting out as much water as we can. And then since this was so long, I did kind of fold it in half just so that I didn't have, I could have used the full length of the towel, but I didn't. I just folded it in half and then did the same thing. Obviously there's not as much water in here, so I didn't have to be as, what's the word? Thorough in my squeezing out of the water. I don't know. I didn't have as much water. And the socks, again, super easy. I probably could have wrapped them up with a shawl, but I had this other towel sitting here, so I used it. And then we're going to head over to the blocking mats. Alright, here are some of the basic supplies that you are going to need. I just have some foam blocking mats laid out here that I got at Menards years ago, some stainless steel T-pins, and these knit blockers. Both of mine are for Knitter's Pride, but there's lots of other brands out there. These are just like little combs with little teeth that help when you are laying out a straight edge There are 2 different sizes in most packs. So I'm just gonna set those down. The T-pins are nice if you just have like a small piece here and there. I do also have some stainless steel rods that I use, and I will use the single T-pin to hold those rods straight in place. I'm not gonna use those today just because I am not super concerned about getting a super straight edge on my shawl. And these are acrylic sock blockers. They make wire ones. There's lots of different sock blockers on the market. I just have these acrylic ones. All right, so once you have towel dried and laid everything out, you can take your works out. For this sweater, I'm not blocking it to any specific measurements. Another thing that would be really helpful to have is a tape measure. I'm just gonna kind of lay this out since the pattern that I used didn't have specific schematics for a measurement. I am just laying it out flat, making sure that my top and bottom hem edges are nice and even, that my sleeves are the same length, and that it kind of is just laying the way that I want it to. Making small adjustments as needed. Now, if you wanted to get a more specific measurement, you could always lay out your mats a little bit differently, so that way you can lay your sleeves out perfectly straight. I wasn't super concerned about it with this one, so I just kind of finagled them so they were more flat. All right, and then since I have plenty of space left, I did go ahead and lay out the shawl next, kind of on the bottom. And then, like I said, if you have stainless rods, if you want to get like a nice crisp edge, I would use those. But I'm not super concerned about that today. I laid it down here. I did leave a little bit of an opening so I could lay my sock out kind of in that corner where my hand is right now. And then I just took some of those straight pins and uncurled the edge a little bit, stuck the pins into the foam mat, and secured it, laying it flat. Now there are measurements for this shawl, but I just kind of laid it out and made sure everything was flat, and then that straight border edge kind of in the bottom left corner was straight, and that my stripes were, not kind of crooked. And then I just went around pinning around the edge, like I said, just uncurling it and making sure that it was more or less straight. I did have to grab another mat that I tucked under on the side there because it was much longer and I needed extra space. All right, and now I'm off camera doing the rest of that. All right, and then last but not least on this blocking day, I had a pair of socks. These are a DK weight pair of socks. So if you do not have sock blockers, like I'm showing here, you can just lay them out to your measurements. But since I have these, I'm going to go ahead and put them on, just like you would put it on your foot. And then I have not done this, but I'm sure you could hang them up to dry if you wanted them to dry a little bit faster. But you just want to make sure if you use sock blockers that the heel is in position and the toe is in position where you like it. Yeah, you can probably hang them up if you want them to dry a little bit faster. I'm just going to lay them down, and then the next day I'll just make sure I flip them a couple times so that they get nice and dry, and then find room for them on my mat somewhere. The nice thing about these foam mats, and you can also lay a towel down underneath them, but they don't absorb the moisture, so blocking on them is a really easy endeavor. And here I'm just setting that other sock down.